Good morning, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. It's a pleasure, myself, Eric DeHaan, to welcome you to the Seoul Foreign School Virtual Speaker Series. This is our sixth series production. We've had people from, and I encourage you to look back in the archives to see the different, we've had Olympians, the head of school, Korean food, and today we have a very special speaker with us, a good friend of mine, Dietrich Wilkie from Brazil. So he's coming from many hours, 11 o'clock at night his time, but I see that he's certainly full of energy. Dietrich I've known him for a good solid 10 plus years, as he is a graduate of Indiana University, where I used to work. Many of you know that I came to SFS from Indiana University. And today he's going to be speaking to us from a depth of experience. He is a very broad individual with a lot of energy and enthusiasm, and I think you'll pick that up very soon. And he has worked in many different fields, and I'll let him share a little bit about some of those things that would resonate with the topics today, talking about focusing on oneself and this idea of mentorship. So with that, Dietrich, if you may.
Thank you so much, Eric. It's a pleasure. Actually, I'm passionate, right? It's so wonderful to be here in Brazil, be able to talk in South Korea, and actually realize that Korean population here in Sao Paulo, where I live, is one of the second biggest after the Japan population. So it's actually
Okay.
very nice and very happy to be able to give a little bit of insight, some tools, especially in this moment where we're living pandemic and losing a little bit of control. So today we're going to have a little bit fun. I'm going to be talking mostly about mindset, resilience, and then obviously something that I think we need a little bit more nowadays, which is gratitude, and how to utilize gratitude to get us into a different mindset, which will help us hopefully go through this last possible month before the vaccine gets all over. Hopefully we are getting to
Right.
the end of the right at the end of it. So very excited. Thank you so much, Eric. It's always a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to always give some tips, right? Some insights to the young people that are actually going to be our next future, right? People that are actually going to go to the university are going to need to be braver than probably a lot of people that went in my school with everything that's happening, right? Pandemic actually thought and showed that we need to be a little bit more together. We need to increase our resilience and understand the real practice of what we control, what we influence, what we do not control, and how it affects our day-to-day life.
Mm-hmm.
So as always, I will start, but here it's my number. So that is interactive for people who want to be interactive. It's actually something you can do for yourself, but I always like to have the opportunity for the people that are in this to actually interact. So I put my American number, you can text that. It's also here in my cell phone, and the WhatsApp, which is something that we use in Brazil and South America. And so that if you want to interact, you can send it, and I'm always here and very excited. So that's my number there. And obviously for people that are here, I always like to start, we've been bombarded with Zoom, so interaction is important for us to keep focused. So if you want to send me your name and what's the current emoji that you normally use during the pandemic, I would love it. It's here. You can send it later. I heard that this has been recorded, so it's always nice to look back and hopefully browse through and get some of the tips we're going through. So that's very exciting. Before we start, I always so here's the emoji. So your name emoji. So that's so before I start, I would like to give a little background, right? When I was in Indiana University, I actually started with this company, so Southwestern, which now I'm a partner and work with the coaching side of it. But I actually started with them in 2000 and 2001, selling books door to door. That's how I paid for my college. That's how I did it. So I wanted to talk a little bit, right? Southwestern is the oldest direct sales company in the United States. So it was established in 1855 in Nashville, which I'm really excited because I've been looking at the history of this school in 1912, 1855, very close. So we are back there, and I think it's a nice thing to have a legacy. Love to work with things where we have a lot of data and we have actually a lot of information that we can pass along. And obviously our goal is to become the largest privately held company in the world. We started with the books, the sales books, but now I'm part of the Southwestern coaching part, and these are the nice coaches that work with me and my team. I wonder if y'all can see who I am, if you can find me in there. This has been, we meet once a year in January for our, where we get prizes and when we actually get training. And January normally in the United States is extremely cold, even though I'm German and I grew up in Brazil, so cold has never been very nice for me. So if you really want to see who I am, it's just look at there's a lady in the front with the red pants. I'm right behind with the head. I'm the only one with the head because I was so cold. There was freezing actually when this picture was taken. So we like to have fun. The CEO is there. The CEO is on the farthest part, the farthest left on the picture with the right. So we like to have fun and we like to be serious. I think when we go into the world and we start getting to leadership positions or wanting to become an entrepreneur or even wanting to grow as a person, we need to be very careful to not take us too seriously. I think when we take ourselves too seriously, it's when I believe problems start happening. So a little bit of us, let me out of here. So opa, here we go. And here we go. So right now, as far as Southwestern Consulting is concerned, we work with a lot of companies. Obviously, we don't work with Seoul, but I wanted to put your logo up there. We've been very blessed to have talked and coached over 15,000 people since we started 10 years ago. And it's been a pleasure for us. It's through that. So obviously, we are more focused in Southwest Consulting with sales coaching, leadership coaching, and performance coaching, leadership, performance, and selling. But when Eric asked me to come here, it's like, obviously, I'm not going to be talking too much about sales yet, but we can learn from top producers and we can learn from the sales world some habits that I believe permeate in any job, in any position that you will take in the future. Obviously, if you're interested in selling, I'm always here and you can talk more about this because it's an exciting market, an exciting world for me. I've been selling since ever and I love that part. So being able to coach people in the sales world is always a joy. So yes. So what we do, we elevate sales, right? Part of what we do is we elevate sales through habits. What we realized is that the only way for you to actually do sales the right way and actually really become a top producer is to not focus on results, but focus on the activities that you're doing and creating real relationships. Now, if you listen to this, it is actually something that we should be able to do, we should be doing in any part, in any job, right? Is to make sure that we have create real relationships and focus on what you control and let the results come, because we do not have much control on the results, even if you do a perfect world. So we realized that habits are extremely important. And through the 165 years I've been working with hundreds of thousands of salespeople, training them, and now with the coaching part, we identified that there are three main areas that need to be conquered for you to really start stepping up. So I will start first with the foundation of Southwestern Consulting is surrounding habits. And then we're going to jump in and talk about the research we did. We followed for decades successful people, so people that are always top performing, always are reaching their goals. And we identified three things that all of them do. So I hope that with that perspective that you can take a little bit of insight, because you're going to see very quickly that those three things are no-brainers and that anyone here can do them. So we're going to go a little bit in here. So part of the sales, right? What we believe is results are controlling the controllables. So here is our triangle of habits, right? One of the things that are extremely important in anything you do, and selling is extremely important, but whatever you will go in the future, I think skills is extremely important for you to grasp, right? Skills become important, obviously, in our world. In Southwestern, we cover skills from all the way from prospecting all the way to closing, but the world And that's why we need good high schools. That's why we need people going to university. That's when we actually need to actually understand the skills in any levels, which turns us human, is part of an important aspect on anyone that wants to actually become the better version of itself. The next thing is motivation. I don't know of you, but I have seen and met a lot of people that have a lot of skills. They have a lot of degrees, they studied a lot, they have a lot of certificates. They pretty much could answer anything. But then when you ask them what they did with that, it's kind of like this silence, because they didn't do anything with the skills they acquired their entire life. So we need to be careful, right? Analysis paralysis is part of the thing. So there's so many people out there that could do great things, but they just get stuck in the theory and they don't go into the action. There needs to be this motivation, being able to confront the fears, try something new, get out there and actually put yourself in the view so that you can actually grow and maintain the consistency. Consistency is the game, right? It's the name of the game, because it doesn't matter. And it's something that it's kind of hard, right? Because especially when we are finishing high school, when we know the GPA and grades are so important, yes, they are. You need to just be careful, but intelligence and GPA alone will not make someone successful. It helps a lot, but really makes people successful is able to have the attitudes, the habits, and the consistency to maintaining a goal, to creating a goal and keeping it, even though sometimes we might fail a little bit through it. So motivation becomes an important and extremely part on this triangle, because again, there's a joke, right? We talk about it all the time, right? You can be motivated as hell, but if you are motivating someone that doesn't have a skill, then you're motivating an idiot, and motivating an idiot doesn't help either. So we need to have skills and we need to have them motivated so they can share it with the world and share it. And now with Zoom, being here in Brazil, look how exciting it is. And actually the excitement brings you also a little bit of threat, right? We have the ability to touch anyone in the world, which I believe also puts a huge responsibility on us, on you as young people, to make sure that you have the skills, the understanding to pass it along and not do something wrong. Because unfortunately nowadays, see, I had the good fortune, and Eric probably too, that we went through high school without Facebook. So whatever bad happened, whatever we messed up is internalized and not many people heard about it. We fall into, unfortunately, a place where if you mess up too much, it can affect and it can go all over. So we need to be careful and need to be very sure that we are actually focusing on skills and motivation. And then motivation and skills are great, but what happens if you don't have a system around it? The consistent doesn't happen, right? So it's okay and it's wonderful for you to have a lot of skills, to have a lot of motivation. But if you on a roller coaster, you do it one time and then you forget, and then you do it again, and then you quit, and then you start again, you will not grow consistently. So more systems. And in my case, when we talk about systems in Southwestern, we talk about mostly time management, right? I've been always thinking, right? Why do some people perform and do so much in life when we have the exact same 24 hours in a day that everybody else does? It's fascinating because no one here, and none of the big success people have extra hours to work. We all have 24 hours. And it's what we do with those 24 hours that really make a difference. So if you are great, if you have a lot of motivation, a lot of skills, but you are not good at time management, you're not able to capitalize and make your time efficient, then you're also not going to be where you want to be. So creating systems around things to maintain them consistently is also something that's extremely important. So time management, right? Creating an effective schedule, having a balanced lifestyle, working smarter and not harder, right? Becomes an extremely important tool, which we learn. And it's so funny, right? We learn that so much in high school because sometimes we are forced because we have a schedule, right? And then we need to go to the classes and our schedule is pretty much tight. It's so fascinating that even though and it starts already when you go to college, but once we leave college, we kind of forget how great it was when we were in high school, that we had a schedule, and we forget that actually schedules really work. It actually helps us to be where we need to be. It helps us to analyze how much time we really need to do some things, and it optimizes our time. And it's so fascinating that we talk to adults that are busy, sometimes busier as we were when we were students, and they have no schedule, right? They live reactively and not proactively. And that is something that we are going to be obviously talking. That's one of the skills that is extremely important. And that's why we put it into our main system as far as habits, which start becoming a habit of a top producer in any field that you're looking for. And obviously, we understand that all of this is great, but if you do not change your habits, you probably will not touch those 3 areas. Habits are amazing, right? We most of the time talk negatively about habits, but thank God we do have habits, because that's the way for our brain to be extremely efficient, to captivate and to do and to maintain our senses and our body working, and not deluding ourselves with so many things. So habits actually do work. The problem is we need to identify if the habits that we're doing today are actually really working on our benefits and helping us to become the better version of ourselves. The negative part about it is that even though we identify that some of our habits are not as good, it takes time for you to change them. And I think that's the painful part that we need to identify, right? Sometimes we believe that just talking that we're going to do something, we get frustrated that it does not happen. It's because habits are so ingrained in us, and are so automated, right? It's an automated process that it sometimes takes more than just telling that we're going to be doing something different. We actually need to work around for a long time, going through some pain, because it's hard for the brain and hard for us as humans to change something that has become something automatic. So habits is something that I will be talking a lot through this presentation, because we need to understand that this is really what makes it or breaks it. Because if we do not change the habits or identify those habits that actually really will get us not where we want, then it doesn't really matter how much information, how much skills, how much systems you have around, if you're not able to actually perform them in the right way. Actually, we have someone. Oh, good. Someone's coming in. So welcome to who is here. So the reason, hi, it's Ben Valirop. So I hope I'm saying it right. So thank you for being here. So thank you. Hi. So one of the things that I want to make sure, and the reason why is, in Brazil, we have a hard problem with coaching, right? Coaching has become a world that has been manifested everywhere, and it's become streamlined. It's a kind of the new norm. But the reason why coaching is actually really working is because of the accountability that we're able to perform and help people. We all, and I believe everyone that's going to be able to watch this recording and goes back and thinks about the things that you know you need to do, right? When we start a diet, when we want to work out, when we are studying for an exam and we know exactly what chapters, what things we want to do, we kind of really know what we need to do to achieve our best selves. What happens though, and why are we doing and we're not getting there? One of the things is, the hard question is, what do you do when no one is watching? What decisions are you making when no one is watching? That is the fundamental part of habits and achieving your great potential. And coaching is here to help you maintain this accountability of the things that you know you need to do in order to become your best. So that's the hint on coaching. That's why we're receiving and getting so many results, is because we're able to hone and make people accountable to helping them maintain the goals, the actions, and the activities that they know they need to do to achieve what they believe is important for them. So I told you, right, that I wanted to go with the habits. So we did a lot, we studied several people over decades who always have maintained top producing performance, always met or exceeded their goals. And we started really looking at what are the things that those people are doing consistently that average people are not. So I want to dive into this world and give you a little bit of a synopsis of what those three things are, because it's, again, like I said, it's pretty impressive that they're simple, but not easy, right? Simple, it's not the same thing as easy. So the first thing that we actually found out is that no matter who, they find a way and not an excuse. And it sounds silly, right? But we have a choice when we wake up every day. We have a choice to look at the world and just look at all the things that are going wrong, or we are able to look at the world and say, okay, I understand that problems will happen. I understand that things are not going to go the way I want. What am I going to do in respect to the problems that I'm going to be facing and that I will face every day, no matter what? Yes, if you believe that you get good grades, get to the best college, and you get the best job, and everything is fine, that you're never going to encounter any problems and challenges, sorry to tell you. The challenges will come no matter what. They always will be there. And we might as well face the fact that we will change, we will face them, than having this belief that, oh my God, if I can become the best person and I study enough and I do everything right and I become a good person, that I might avoid problems. And that's not how the world works. So we found out that in this world, these people that we followed, they find a way and not an excuse, right? We all seen this. Hopefully, you also have seen a little bit of Homer, right? And that's the analysis that we wake up with two little things, right, on our shoulders. We have the voice that knows, we know what we want to do, and then we have what we call in our company Mr. Mediocrity. And we all have him. He was born with us, and he's always there. And he's amazing because he actually is able to explain a lot of things that makes a lot of sense, but if we really analyze, might not be the right thing to do to get us to become the best version of ourselves, right? Those days when you're waking up, you know you need to do your work, you know you need that hour to study, and then suddenly, Dietrich, you did so much yesterday. Just sleep another half an hour. So much, you deserve it. You did everything you could. Don't worry. That's the voice, and we have it. Everybody has it. The decision is what to do with the voice and how to interact with that, right? So we need to be very careful with that. So obviously, again, this is the time though, if, that's my WhatsApp, my text as well. So if you want to send me your excuses that you had today, even I had excuses today. So we all face them, we all have them, we all need to look at them every day and then decide, what am I going to do with those excuses? Am I going to actually really give up on them, or am I going to find a way around them or through them, right? So there you go. And again, even if it's recording, I will be super excited if I suddenly get a text with an excuse, meaning that you actually watch and get the training. It's important, right? Self-knowledge and self-analysis is actually one of the most important things, is those things that if you look at yourself in the mirror, you exactly know what I'm telling you, right? The other thing that we identified is that they're student of their game, meaning every one of them consistently work on themselves. So, right, it's not just going to college, but it's actually working on yourself, getting to know yourself, studying on a continuous basis, always getting new information, always being upfront, because life is that, right? I think, and I was asking myself, do I say this to students that are starting the process of college or not? But I think it's good for you to know right now. Right? No, high school is not the end. College is not the end. Studying is an all-time thing. So you go to college, you go to high school, but if you want to become the best version of yourself and you want to really make an impact, studying will become an everyday thing for you to be always getting more. And the funny thing is that if you start really looking at people that are doing this on a continuous basis, you realize that the more you know, the less you actually really know, right? That it's a continuous and forever search to become a little bit better and learning more and sharing it with the world. So they're student of their game. And here, they invest in their mind. And I think that's very important. Jim Rohn is one of my big mentors. And he said something that hopefully hits your heart, because we need people that are not just good at college. We need people that are good as people, right? People that understand themselves and can influence people. So formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. And I hope it hits you hard, because that's something that's extremely important for you to know, right? And hopefully you learn it now and not later. So you're in this perfect spot to make some wonderful decisions in your life. Do not just rely on GPA, on knowledge. Make sure that you work on your mind as well. That will make you a fortune and make you become the best version of yourself. And the third thing that we saw in all of the people that always achieve or surpass their goals, are always performing at their top, is that they take action now. Right? So here is also something that hopefully one day I will get a number, but I would like for you to truthfully look at yourself and give you a grade. So from 1 to 10, 10 is someone that actually is on fire, someone that plans their week every Sunday, someone who has a detailed, specific plan, who knows how to hit their goals, wakes up in the morning and is like, thank God it's Monday, right? Executes all week long like clockwork, right? They are proactive, they aren't reactive. They are consistently, they are not on the emails, right? They are actually consistent and actually focusing on the thing they know they need to do to achieve the goals. That's a 10. A 1 is someone that's reactive and not proactive. So they have good intentions. Someone has an idea of what they want, sort of know how to get the production, or they know what they want to achieve. But when they wake up, they go straight into reactive mode and rationalize. Well, in my distance is different, in my country is different, culture is so different, right? I have to be reactive. That's the fault of customer service. And they're constantly wondering why they're working so hard and not achieving what they really could achieve. So between those 10, which grade are you right now? And if you want to share it again. Where are you? And that's right. Again, you don't need to share it, right? But okay, so the question here is, if you're not a 10, most of the days, what is it costing you? Notice that I didn't say how much. For some of you, it is costing you money, a lot of money. You probably got into the business because you can make, right? You're choosing your career because you want to make money, you want to be successful, right? And help a lot of people. But for others, it's actually costing you a goal or a dream. It's costing you the chance to pay for children's education, right? To be graduated debt-free, maybe you have your dream house, right? To the vacation home, the family trip, whatever it is, right? Whatever your goal, your dream, that's what it's costing you. And I would say, for everyone that's watching this, that one of the biggest costs to not operating at our best is guilt. Most of you can probably relate to this, right? It's that guilt, that feeling you have nagging at you, the guilt that have you when you're home and your laptop or your phone, or trying to answer emails, get paperwork done, and you didn't have them done when you know you should have done them, right? And then you are not productive. And then you're sitting in your family, right? You're on the phone, and then people are saying, please get off the phone. This is family time, right? So you feel guilty, but you need to get it done, right? And that starts really eating into your life. And I am for sure that no one was born and no one wakes up saying, I am actually going to be average or mediocre. Dietrich, I was born to be average, right? I know that all of you want to be excellent. So if you're not operating at our best most of the days, ask yourself, if you're not a 10 most of the days, what is it costing you? Right? So that's the painful part of the webinar, but I think it's important because you, as young people, you that are here, have the opportunity to change, right? We have much more control than we want, and we want to control it. So that's another question, right, that I wanted to ask. So what is the most expensive invisible cost in business? And when I say business, I also say this in university, right? Because this is actually something that costs a lot of students, a lot of people, a lot of money, because some people fail and then they have to repeat because of this. And if you can guess, it's procrastination, right? That's actually one of our biggest and evil find. But we rewrote it and we call it creative avoidance, because we are very creative, aren't we? We are able to tell so many great excuses to not do something that we know we need to do, right? So this is the tough part too, right? Creative avoidance. What are you doing, right? So the question here is, right, and of course, in sales, since we are in coaching, is what is making you not pick up the phone and prospect, right? If we're talking to, and here is another law, and it's something that hopefully you will get and understand, because if you get it as young, it helps you a lot, which is the law of diminishing intent. And this is how the brain works, right? The longer you wait to make a decision, the harder it is to actually do it, because life happens and other things come in. So we understand in selling, and that's selling pain, but this should be a pain for everyone here that's not even in selling, that's doing whatever, is that when you are doing something, when you want to decide on something, when you have options, be careful, because the longer it takes for you to make a decision, the harder it will be for you to actually do that and make the decision you wanted, because life gets in the way and other things come up. So, the intention diminishes as the time grows. And that's a law that is painful if we do not grasp it soon enough. So, right? So obviously the question here is, okay, Dietrich, this is awesome. Great. So how do we avoid being, right, creative avoidance? How do we avoid procrastination? How do top producers overcome this, right? And what we saw is that they actually focus on income producing activities. Now, obviously, this is a word that we use in selling, but this could be translated in anything you want, right? What are the activities that you need to focus that will get you the results? That's what top producers actually focus on. They understand and are very clear of what they need to do that they control that will get them the results. And that's what they focus. So first of all, whatever you're deciding to do, whatever goal you want, wherever you want to do, whatever you decide, understand and make sure that you understand what activities you need to do to accomplish them and focus on them. Because the more you focus on them, the less procrastination you will get to do them, because you now suddenly understand that if you do them, you get and you reach your goals. And if you reach your goals, you become very happy, right? And if you get happy, then you continue this virtual and this fortunate wheel. But if you don't do it, then you go the opposite side. Something you also need to understand, I am a trainer in neuro-linguistic programming. And one of the things that I didn't grasp, but it's important for us to understand, that thank God that the brain cannot have a negative and a positive thought at the same time. Either we are negative or we are positive. We cannot do both. So pay attention, because if we start really focusing on the positive, we don't leave time and space for the negative. And that's actually something, thank God, very amazing. But obviously, if you go into the negative part, you need to be very careful and you need to reverse it as quick as possible. So I wanted to share, this sounds like a high school calendar, but it's not. This is one of my clients' calendar as a coach. And yes, executives and people actually stand and start having a schedule, because they understand that if they actually plan and have an intention and plan ahead, they actually can optimize and be efficient with their time, right? So if you understand what your activities need to be, if you know exactly what you need to do to accomplish what you want, then freedom happens. People look at this and sometimes people get scared, like, oh, Dietrich, this doesn't look fun, right? But it is actually very exciting. The reason why I believe so much is because Eric knows me in Indiana University. What he didn't know is that I fought a lot against this, and I didn't believe it myself when I was in college, because I was doing 4 majors. At the same time, I was doing 23 credits a semester, crazy Dietrich. At the same time, I was the president of the RHERA, or the Resident Association. I was the vice president of the student union. I was doing all these wonderful things at the same time. And my mentor kept telling me, it's like, why don't you have a schedule? Right? And I'm like, no, I don't need a schedule. And then when he confronted me why I don't, it's like, you know what? The reason I don't want a schedule is because I know I'm doing so much that if I do a schedule, we'll probably have to say no to things that I want to do. So, right, I kept pushing hard. And what you're going to realize, if you don't have an intention, you technically work very harder than you should. And in my case, I actually ended up in the hospital. So my body, thank God, we have a wonderful body that actually protects us, even though we don't want to be protected, and he shuts you down when it's needed. And in my case, he shut me down. And I woke up the next day and I had my mentor look at me like, so I'm like, what happens? Like, well, your body was smart and he shut you down because you were obviously overworked, overstressed, doing too much. And right, the body can go as much, right, as long, and he will shut you down because the brain does not want to die. So that's what you need to understand. The brain does not want to die. So the purpose of the brain is to conserve as much energy possible to live the longest. And he will do anything possible to save as much energy and to make sure that he lives the longest, even if he has to shut you down to do that, and he will. So I decided, I'm like, okay, I guess I have to do a schedule. And to my surprise, once I did the schedule, I'm going to say my age, but probably 27 years ago, that's when I found freedom. And that's when I realized what being present really means. Because I actually understood that I could do everything, and I could everything that's important and needed in my schedule and have a balanced life. So if you see here, it's not just work. It's making sure that your sleeping time is there, that you're eating healthy, that you're doing the things you like, that you're having your family time, your personal time, all is in there, protected. So for me, the schedule is my freedom because it protects me and it allows me to be present. I wanted to share this especially, and I want to go a little deeper in here because students forget this, right? We think we escape the high school system and, oh my God, thank God, I don't need a schedule, I can do whatever. But do not trust that this is a wonderful lifesaver. The reason I'm saying this is that I was talking to one of my clients, right? And I have a very nice schedule. And in my schedule, I even have time to my parents. So my mom actually needs to talk to my assistant to have time to talk to me. And I felt, one of my clients like, Dietrich, this is horrible. How can you live with yourself like this? And I'm like, am I really that bad? So I actually went back and talked to my mother. I'm like, I'm sorry, like, is it okay that you need to talk to my assistant and put yourself in my schedule so that we can actually talk? I had this client talk to me about that. And my mom looked at me and she's like, Dietrich, before you didn't have that, and before I wasn't on your schedule, yes, we had more time together, but you were not present. You were with your cell phone, you were calling people, you were with me, but you were not really with me, right? You were there present, but your head was somewhere else. Now that I know that I'm in your schedule and I have an hour, you are there with me 100%, cell phone off, everything off. I'm there listening, actively being and living the moment. And this is what a schedule can do for you, is for you to and it's funny because whenever I'm going out with friends or I'm out on a date or whatever, they're like, Teacher, you're so present. Are you not worried that you're missing something at work? I'm like, no, this is the day. This is the time. It's scheduled. I know that I'm not missing anything. Everything that I was supposed to do is done. So I can 100% have fun and enjoy profusely, right, and profoundly what I'm doing. Hopefully, you understand, and hopefully you start getting an intention. So all my clients in coaching, they actually need to send me their schedule every Sunday for what they're going to be doing next week. And hopefully this is something that I can instill in you to start sooner than later, because it will be a defining moment in your life for you to be present and really not miss your life, because it can happen very quickly. So here we go. So, right. So just to recapitulate, right? The three things that we identified is they find a way, not an excuse. They're student of their game, and they take action now, right? Those are the three main things, which I believe everybody can do. It's really not that hard, right? It's simple, but it's not easy, right? We need to do this on a continuous basis, consistent basis to maintain that. So that's the hard part, right? So this is like the type of mindset. So I was talking to Eric. I'm like, so what can I give as a tool? And especially since we're in pandemic mode, right? I've been asked this question so many times, right? I always laugh about this because when you're a coach and when you live with resilience and we're doing accountability, we understand that besides pandemic. But I believe that the pandemic showed us that we do not have control. And people are like, Dietrich, I have no control. So what am I going to do? And what's going to be the new, right? The new thing after COVID? And people get paralyzed, right? Because it paralyzed the entire world. And people like say, Dietrich, what do I do? And I keep like, well, do you realize that you never had control ever, right? Pandemic is not something that actually got you less control. We never had control. Humans do not have control, right? You can wake up tomorrow, have a car accident and not be here. You can have no pandemic, be in a beautiful life, and then one day go to the doctor and then suddenly you're diagnosed with cancer and everything changes in your life. You have no control. That's reality. The beauty is that the pandemic came here to show that we have no control, and now it's there. It's present in our lives, and now what do you do with that? So I've been asked so many times to come even on TV and like, Dietrich, what to do in this moment? And unfortunately, it's fascinating for me that we are 1 year from what happened and we're still in this. And in some places in the world, we're having more death now than we had before. Right? So I'm going to talk a little bit about those two, but one of the things that I've been thinking, like, so what can I give you as a tool to really hone on and reduce anxiety and hopefully use this in your life? Because especially people that are going to college or people that are facing something new, there's going to be a moment where anxiety is going to be there, right? We need to study a lot. We need to do a lot of things. We are going to be doing a lot of interviews. We want to go to the best college. So anxiety levels are super high. So I think that also helps you, for you to zone in and to use this tool that is so powerful. It's so silly, but it's so powerful. And it's called fried egg on the plate. That's Dietrich, what the hell is this? But it is actually super fun. So Africi, I want you to envision, so everyone here, right? I want you to envision your version of the perfect fried egg on the perfect plate. So you can imagine, right? This beautiful egg yolk, the yellow part, and then the white part, and then the huge, beautiful plate, right? We should go to this beautiful restaurant and get this plate. And in the middle, there's this egg. Why am I saying this? Because this is our system. The egg yolk, if you want to write it down, is what we control. The egg white is what we influence. And the rest of the plate is everything we have no influence and something we have no control over. Right? So we're starting with that. So what happens? And let's start analyzing this. So let's look at the egg yolk, right? So ask yourself, what can you and only you control 100% of your time? So if you were to ask yourself, what can I, Dietrich, Eric, what can we control 100%? So only we, and what can we control? What would that be? The funny thing is that some people, when they're in super anxiety and they're in this moment, like, nothing, I have no control over anything, right? We tend to have this answer of, I have no control. And then when we are in a very controlled environment where everything is safe and everything's nice and people are following everything and you are nice, and you say, I control a lot of things, right? But ask yourself really what only you can control. So one of the things you control is time, what you do with your time, right? Your actions. It's 100% under you, right? I can decide right now, say, Eric, I felt like didn't like this setting. I'm going to hang up. I'm going to leave. I could do that, right? No one could stop me, even though it would not be very nice. It's something that I control, right? So our actions, we control 100% our actions, right? What we want to do. So our time, our timeline, what we decide to do, what we don't want to do, it's 100% what we control. Some people will say, yeah, we control our thoughts. And some thoughts, yes, because I don't know you, but I have thoughts come up and pop up in my brain all the time. Some thoughts I don't want to, they come up. So we do not really have control of what we think, but we do have control how to interact and how to face them. So what are we going to do in lieu of what comes up in your mind, and how are we going to react to that? That we have control. The same thing with feelings. People like, I control feelings. Technically, we don't. Right? Feelings come up, and we need to start understanding that we have no control over feelings, right? Anger, love, sadness, it comes up. We have no control. Might as well just accept it. But what we do have control is how to react to the feelings that come up. So I feel angry. So what are you going to do with that anger? How are you going to face it? And how are you going to use this right? So we do have control over that, right? Breathing sometimes, most of the times breathing becomes automatic, and thank God our brain does a lot of things without us needing it because it keeps us alive. We don't have that much control over it. We have a subconscious that helps us and we have no control over it. But those are the main things that we control. So let's jump into the egg white. So what do you think that you have influence over? Right? And here, if you're a parent, no, you do not have control over kids. You have influence over them, right? And I always tell this story, right? A baby understands what he controls, even though he cannot speak. So if he doesn't want to eat, and if you push something in his mouth, he's going to spill it, right? If he wants to, I want to puke, I need to go to the bathroom right now, and you're like, no, you're not, and I'm telling you not to go. It's like, well, too bad, I'm going, right? He has control over it. Babies understand very quickly what they control, right? So we need to be careful because we need to really understand what influence is versus control. Influence is everything we're doing right now. It's what I'm doing right now with you. It's giving you tips, telling you things where I'm influencing you. But I understand that you have the final say and you can do whatever with that information that I'm giving you. So influence is whatever you tell people that is in their positive interest, right? I'm not talking about manipulation here, we're talking about influence. Now, the important thing here is that you understand that the more trust you have in someone, the stronger the influence you have over it. So that's why when we are parents and kids, the kids, they listen more because there's a strong trust feeling, right, between parents and kids. And that's why when we become teenagers, it starts getting lower because you realize, oh, they're as me, oh, they're as human as me, and they make mistakes as me. So the trust lowers, and that's why the influence becomes weaker. And as the lower the trust, the less influence you have over. So for example, if I walk on the street and I tell someone that I never met, you would be better wearing green instead of what you're wearing right now. The person's like, who the heck, who are you, right? What the hell, right? So the less you know someone, the less influence you have and the less control. But now let's enter the world of what you not have control or influence over. Pretty much everything else, right? Yes, if you're getting married and you think that God was horrible because it rained on your marriage, it has nothing to do with you. You have no control over it, right? You have no control over what's happening right now with pandemic. You have no control what the government does. You have no control if it's going to rain or snow. You have no control. Even if you have the best of intentions and you do everything, you tell people what to do and they do something different, that's reality. You have no control over the decisions that other people do, what people think, what they're going to decide. Painful, I know, but it is true, right? There's so much we do not control. But the real point here is not that. So I wanted you to understand this. But we did another analysis. So I've been following, right, from Harvard to Stanford to a lot of universities worldwide. They did a study and they started looking at what differentiates. So how much do we as humans spend our time worrying about the things we do not control versus worrying about the things we do control? So if a day is 100%, how much do you think we humans spend percentage-wise worrying about things we do not have any control over versus what we do have control? Some people would say 100%
of the time, 30%, 30% of the time, maybe things we don't control at all.
Oh, you're so nice. You're so nice. It's actually the opposite, right? What's scary enough is that between 70 to 80% of our time, humans spend worrying about things they have no control over. Now, isn't that like, it's impressive, right? I got so scared when I looked at that number. 70% of your time, you're worrying about things that you have no influence, no control whatsoever, which means you cannot do anything about it. Isn't it crazy? I hope it hits you because this is nuts, right? But then there was another study and they started looking at people that are resilient, people that went through Nazi camps, people that went through the worst possible things, and they still maintained not only resilience, but focus, and were able to achieve their goals. And what they realized is that they actually focus much more on the things they control. Remember, income producing activities, procrastination, they understand that they have no control over a lot of things, but they focus on the things they control. And that's the difference. That's what makes us not worry so much about the pandemic. It is there, it's true, but we need to ask ourselves, what can Dietrich, what can Eric, what can we do in our power to help or to solve this problem? If the answer is nothing, I cannot do anything to do whatever or to solve the problem, then you need to send it to God, send it to the universe, send it and say, he's going to take care of it. I'm going to focus on what I can do, and the rest will take care of whatever it's going to. And when we have that analogy and we start really understanding, this is strong. So I hope it hits your heart, because this is how you prevent to have the anxiety and the paralyzation when things come up and you have no idea what's happening. When things come up and you have no idea, you need to stop, breathe, and ask yourself, what can Dietrich do in this situation that only can do to solve this? And focus on that and let the rest solve itself. And your life will be so much better if you really grasp this. This is a very powerful tool, especially nowadays with the pandemic, for you to understand that it does not matter and you should not stop, and paralyzation doesn't bring you anything. Ask yourself what you can do here, what you can change, what other things you can do to get out of it. It's first understanding that you really do not have control, and that's fine. It's not nice, but it is fine, and we need to make that realization, and then we start moving again. And now we're changing the world and finding new ways and coming up with abundance instead of looking at the things we do not control. So I hope this is something that you like. I know we have a little bit minutes more, a couple of minutes here. So I want to actually give you another amazing tool, which is a gratitude journal, right? Some people actually, and with humans, that's part of humanity, right? And Eric, can I go a little bit after the hour, or, okay, good. I want to make sure that this also holds in, this has been something very strong for me, also something that has been proven. So this comes from someone that actually went through this to see how our brain changes. We humans, because we're animals, we tend to look at the negative to protect us. And it's actually not really negative to be negative. It's because we actually do need to look at the worst case scenario so that we can be protected. But what happens is that we are in this level, right, of the negativity. We tend to have this as a habit, and we forget that there's actually amazing good things happening as well, right? Unfortunately, we're in a world where bad news actually, pays more than good news. So we are not really known, right? It's not a habit of actually looking at good news. To actually, for you to understand, there's actually more good things happening dramatically than negative things, but we tend to just focus on everything that's negative. So what I would like for you to consider, and this also, for you that sees gloom, does not see anything positive, feels that you are just with me and life just treats me like that, this is something that might work if you do it consistently. So what I ask you is, if you want to do this and you want to go through this challenge, do it for at least 30 days, and you're going to see a huge difference in your life. Some people, and you can do it in the morning or in the evening. I like to do it in the evening because it's easy for you to be positive in the morning than it is in the evening. Yes, life is great, right? So you start your day, and then suddenly someone hits your car, and then, oh, my day is over, right? So it's so easy for you to go from a very nice day to a horrible day. So I challenge you to do this at night, because at night, we tend to have not that good ideas. Even if you have a good day, we tend to not even look at the good things. It's amazing. So here is the trick, and here is the challenge. Gratitude. So there are 3 things that I want you to write. 1, everything you're grateful for. So the first step, grateful. And from the simplest, thank you for me to be safe, that I have a job, that I don't need to be out there in the pandemic, that I have a family that has health, that I have actually a roof, that I can actually eat, that I have, right, that I can go to this amazing school, that I have friends. There's so many things we're grateful that we forget, that we live every day, that so many people do not have. There are people that are homeless. There are people that are not able to eat. And we kind of ignore it, but we are grateful. I'm so grateful for so many things, but we do not look at them. And this is a beautiful thing to do, is to sit down and really look at the small little things that you're grateful and that you should be grateful for. That's the start of the gratitude journal. The second thing is your accomplishments, right? Your positive things that happened through the day. What did you do on the day that actually made you feel good? Who did you make maybe laugh? Who did you help? What are good insights that happened through your day? What are those little, small little things that we totally ignore, but actually are something beautiful and positive that happened in the life that we just consider it's normal, but actually it's beautiful to remember. We are so hard to give ourselves some credit and embrace ourselves. It's time to see the good things that happened. So take the time, look at your day and see the good things that happened. How many people did you help? How many things did you do that actually are positive and actually affected other people? And then the third thing, which is even harder, and even though it's silly, it's your main and amazing accomplishments. Sometimes we go through the day and then we are faced with a challenge. We're faced with something that we thought we were not able to solve, or we thought like, oh my God, it's so hard, so difficult. And then you were able to solve it magically and with skillfully. And it's right. It's like a magic moment happened. If you're a salesperson, so suddenly you sold to someone that you thought you would never sell, or you did something, or you performed the way that you're like, oh my God, where did this come from? I was able to really do it and didn't even think about it. We actually achieve amazing things, and then we brush it off as it's like, oh, no big deal. No, people, it's time to rejoice and see the big accomplishments you have, because sometimes you have amazing accomplishments that day. But we tend to like, but I had a horrible call and I didn't sell here and I didn't do this. And yes, on this class, I wasn't that good. But in another class, you aced it when you thought you didn't. But you don't focus on that, right? We focus on the other. So those three things, if you start doing them every night before you go to bed, and remember what I said, right? The brain cannot have positive and negative thoughts. If you start filling your brain with gratitude and positive thinking and positive thoughts, your brain will chemically, the chemistry of your brain will start shifting. And then you will start asking yourself, oh my God, I'm not having those negative thoughts as often. And you start having positive thoughts. You start looking at life differently. And that will make a huge difference. This comes from a professor in one of the Ivy Leagues who actually was an amazing teacher, trainer, motivator, but at home, the kids would tell him like, I don't understand how you can be so mad because you're so negative all day. It's so realistic, so hard. He's the one who actually said, I need to do something and I need to test it. He actually did that. And it's unbelievable the changes that happened to this professor after he did that. That's why it became part of our tools as coaches to create this gratitude journal for people that do not understand that they have so many things to be grateful, but they don't even see it because they're involved in negativity. And misery loves company, right? We understand that, and hopefully you understand that misery loves company. So let's go to the virtual part, and gratitude also loves company if we let it, right? So you start seeing grateful people, and it's beautiful to have that. So that's for me the presentation, and I would love, right, I will hopefully get some feedback, right? We covered today, right, the habits, what needs to happen, accountability, right, top producers, and then we talked a little bit about some tools, right? And again, I want to end this with, what do all these people have in common? They not only are successful, yes, they have a lot of money, they achieved a lot of things, but the beautiful thing is that these people understand that they cannot do everything alone, and all of them have coaches. All of them have someone that they can actually trust and instill to become the better version, because we are not here alone, and we need to start understanding that we need people. We have blind spots. We do not know really who we are, and we need people to help us. So that's how I wanted to end, right? So just so people understand, right, in our coaching, right, what we do is we increase income, we multiply your time, and we grow your confidence. Right, our coaching is a year long, and we have one-on-one calls twice a month. You get modules, right? We have learning videos, and you actually have a CRM system where we actually track your income-producing activities, whether you're a salesperson or not. So that's our packet, right? So if you're interested, right? The other thing is that not everybody is fit for coaching, right? A lot of people ask me like, is everybody coach? No, not everybody's coachable. And those are the things you need to ask yourself. So if you think that one day you want to do coaching, if you think you want to, right? If you're like, maybe it's something I want to consider, you need to ask those questions. Are you coachable? You are open to taking advice from someone who you can actually help you and doing the things that you know you need to do? Are you committed, right? Are you quitting whenever the first challenge comes in? Because if you're quitting, then coaching is not for you. If you're not coachable, coaching is not for you. But the harder thing, are you ready and willing to change? People love change, but people don't like to change. And this is a question you need to ask yourself. If you know you are not the best, if you didn't answer 10, if you know you have some areas to work on, ask yourself, are you really ready to change? And you want to change, right? If you have any of those answers, right? If you want that, if you're open-minded, you have my number, you can reach to Eric. And what I did as a gift for you, Eric, and people that are watching it, I'm offering a business action plan. So I'm actually offering a free 90-minute consultation with me so we can dive into your life, into your business, whatever it's needed. So you can first understand what we do as coaches, but actually give you the opportunity to look at yourself and actually evaluate yourself. And in that level, you will know if coaching is for you or not. Either way, I always like to give value, because if we give value and if it changes you, then we are doing something good, right? Because again, I'm not here to sell anyone. I'm not here to force everyone into coaching, because I know that not everyone is in it. So I need to make sure that you have the right profile so that you're actually investing and not wasting your time or money, right? And for me, time is much important than money. So if you're open-minded, right? So I want to welcome back Eric. Thank you so much for everything. And if you have any questions, whatever not, welcome back. And thank you so much for this opportunity.
Sure. Thank you, Dietrich. You've given us a whole lot to think about, my friend. Certainly from a lot of perspective of a young person, those beginning their career. And so I appreciate you putting your mindset into that, that sense of what would, where students are, where young alumni are, or older alumni. So, yeah.
And we have someone here, so I don't know if you had some questions. You came in the middle, but if you have any questions, I'm here so open to answer anything. I think it's
Ben,
important.
any thoughts that you have, my friend?
My goodness, I didn't expect this. For one thing, I really like a couple of things I want to say. Like your being in the moment. That's really, really good. And I'm trying to practice that in myself. And I learned that really later in my life. I'm 74. So it took me a long time to get to that, to being in the moment. The other thing, of course, gratitude, practicing gratitude. So that's really,
so
really
powerful.
important for me.
Very
Yeah.
powerful.
The other thing I want to say to you is that I used to work for the Southwestern Company.
Oh my God.
College. So when I saw Dietrich,
I swear to God, I didn't pay for it. So this is so amazing. This is so nice. How a small world. So you sold doors door to door. Did you sell books door to door?
Door to door.
Well? Well, yes,
Door
2
to
years.
door.
I am a book kid.
And I sold Bibles. I sold the Great Big Family Bible. And I was a college student. I didn't know anything about anything, really. And it was the summer of my freshman year. A friend of mine, he introduced me to Southwestern. So we drove all the way down to Nashville, took the training. And so I did the first year. And then I went back for a second year. Believe it, that.
I did that too. Right. Yeah, I'm with Southwestern nowadays because of this. It changed my life. I became a leader next time. I was a top producer the first year.
I can see that.
I recruited the next year, and God, I couldn't have paid for this because it's so nice to see someone that has sold Bibles. I sold the educational books, right? And it's still good.
Yeah.
It's so nice. I was just sitting with the kids that just finished the summer, and we had the best summer ever, even during pandemic. So it's finding a way even during that, right?
Yeah. Very good. Very good.
Yeah, so it's so exciting. Thank you so much. Oh, that is awesome, Ben. Where are you right now in the world? So where are you? So where are you living? Are you in the United States? Minnesota. Okay,
but
awesome.
I went to Seoul foreign school, Dietrich. So I grew up in Korea, and then I worked in Japan. So I have two countries, but I have to say my first love is Korea, but I love Japan too. So
it's awesome. Yeah, and like I said in the beginning, I'm so grateful because Brazil has the biggest Japan population, and I think the second or the third biggest Korean population in Brazil, in São Paulo. So it's I had a lot of people there, a lot of friends. Even when I was in Indiana University, I was actually an executive of the Asian American Association, and so it's been always a pleasure. So I'm so excited to be here.
Very
Eric.
good, very good. Well, you're a very interesting person. We have a bond. We have a
Thank
beginning.
you so. This is so exciting. Thank you so much, Ben. So much. This is awesome.
Well,
Find me on the LinkedIn. Send me if I can get your information. I would love to actually get to know you a little bit better, Eric. If I can get our email or something, would love to connect.
Fine.
It's always
Eric,
nice to have
Eric
so nice.
can give it to you, but I'm happy to have this opportunity. Thank you.
That is awesome.
Very
Thank you
much.
so much. Eric.
Thank
You're
you so
very,
much, Dietrich, for that, and Ben as well. Thank you so much. I had no idea you had that connection.
Well, that's something I talk about. Is that I was a college student, you know.
Perfect.
But I remember I sometimes tell the story, Dietrich, you'll understand. There was a time my first year, I couldn't afford a car, so I rode bicycle. I bought a bicycle and I rode it all over Knoxville, Tennessee. And
That's
there was
when I
one-
sold. I sold at Knoxville. Oh my
Oh,
God, this is
Knoxville.
ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous.
Amazing, amazing. Anyway, one night I had my last dollar. I had to sell. I didn't have any money. I had to pay my room and board. My roommate was the guy who hired me, recruited me rather. And so I was down to my last dollar, and I thought, okay, what am I gonna do? So I just went out and I finally sold, the last house. I finally sold something. And so I had money in my pocket because they paid the deposit. I had money in my pocket. And it was history after that. I never turned back. It
It happens, right? It's when we are ready to quit, when we go the extra step, that's when great things happen, I think. And
That's
we
right.
learned this the hard way, right? Selling books door to door. But
That's
I
right.
think it's easier for some people who don't need to. I would advise everyone to do it because it changed my life, and the ethics and the workmanship that we create is
Right.
amazing. It's funny because my car broke down going to Knoxville. I had to walk. I didn't have a bike. So I actually, I understand.
Well, very good. Very good. You're a living
Thank you
testimony.
so much. This is a gift for me. So it's no.
Oh, you're so nice.
Before we end, who was your student manager? Who was your leader? Like who actually?
Boy. It was Glenn. I think his first name was Glenn. Oh, let's see. Glenn,
Because I remember at that time, Dan Moore now is the president, and so many people at back that time actually are now executives, are still in it, right? So it's so nice.
Yeah,
so
I can't remember the other guy,
excited.
but Glenn was the first, my first sales manager. Yeah,
Awesome.
and he
Whoa,
was quite.
This is a
quite a guy.
blessing for me. A wonderful time that things
You're,
are meant to be.
that's very
Thank
nice of you
so
to say
much,
that.
Ben.
You're welcome.
Oh my God. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Eric, thank you so
All
much.
right, thank you both so much, and thank you, Dietrich, for all your wisdom, and blessings on you, and Ben, thank you for phoning in today, zooming
Yeah,
in.
I'm sorry I was late. I didn't get the Zoom. I just didn't look for the Zoom. But
it's here.
I'm so glad I came. I'm so glad I
You
came,
can look
Dietrich.
at the beginning. It's going to be recorded. Hopefully the profile. So it's
Recording, so I
exciting.
can
All
see
right.
the beginning. Okay, take care.
Wonderful. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.